Hey guys, this is HTOMario, and I want to show you a Terran against Terran game. In this specific game, you will see Mech against Bio. You will see a little bit of a greedy play, and ways to defend drops, and harassment. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a barracks at the front. After we build this barracks, we're going to be placing a command center down or a supply depot. I believe it's the supply depot first. So yeah, supply depot first. After the supply depot and a marine, we can go ahead. We can keep SCV marine in the CV production. We scout out his base and see that he's also going for a fast expo or cheese. We build the command center on the low ground because we know that we didn't see any extra barracks, and he's most likely going to expand, so I feel pretty safe with the distance time it takes to get to my base that I can put this command center down on the low ground. Afterwards, I drop immediately to refineries so I can heavily begin my gas production. And I also send one marine to take this watchtower so I can see any bio attack in advance. I get my reactor in a factory at relatively the same time. This ensures that I can get Hellions really fast out. I can just swap the add-ons, the add-on really fast. I get my third command center, and now it's a very heavily mech game, so playing kind of greedy. I move the barracks and the factory. You want to start the reactor as soon as you can after you make the factory, since there's about a 10-second difference on when you can move them if you start it immediately. I get my starport, and from here I also get an armory, so I go armory and then starport. I forgot that this command center was about to finish, so I accidentally canceled both my depots. Now that I have my starport, I know that I can start seeing Banshees pretty soon. I could see Banshees now, except he got his delayed gas, so it'd be about a minute later. So we get the engineering bay. And we use these aliens to kind of do a little bit of map control. We rally them over here in case he goes for the same type of drop that I'm doing, so that way I can intercept him and fight them. Sending out my Hellbats, I can see that there are a few units moving across the map. The Marauder is a good sign that he's most likely going bio. He was able to spot my drop, so I use these Hellions up at the top to harass this SCV line. This is kind of to draw his attention and focus away from this drop as I reposition it. Back at home, I've gotten a Viking, and I've got two add-ons, 2 tech labs from my 2 buildings, and I get another command center since I'm taking this expansion. My +1 is done, so I want to start my +2. I have my double gas going, and I'm getting a reactor for this starport or another factory, depending on what I want to use it for. I also zoomed in to his base to go ahead and do this drop. Currently, it's 43 workers to 31. We were able to manage to kill 12 workers with this attack, and we are establishing our third base, and we have another orbital command center on the way. Definitely feel in a commanding position here. Since we're taking our third base, we're going to go ahead and start building missile turrets. 1 or 2 at a time. I prefer 2 at most likely drop locations. Back in our field of vision, I see that there are a few units here, so I try to send my units to go ahead and come over and defend. Remember that without more support, Hellbats are not that great without bio. They need something to fire at the bio while they are countering them. So, unfortunately, I do not have anything here, and he will be able to take out most of this army. This will, of course, force a lift off of this command center, forcing me to retreat. Because I have such heavy minerals and a large influx, I'm able to afford another factory with a reactor. This allows me the ability to be a little bit more loose with my army and positioning, as I can produce more Hellbats to soak up more damage while my siege tanks fire. One of the reasons why Hellbats and siege tanks complement each other is because if he's attacking the Hellbat, I mean, if my siege tanks are sieging up, he's tempted to run in and get close to them so that they can attack less. Doing this allows the Hellbats to deal more damage than trying to micro out of them. So that's definitely one of the reasons why it's good to have a lot of siege tanks, but also a decent amount of Hellbats that complement them. Alright, so swapping these add-ons out, I see that there's just a straight tank here, so I go ahead and take it out. He's dropped inside of my base, and I do have a sensor tower here and here. This allows me to spot for drops a little sooner in advance. Because of my missile turrets, most of his drop failed, he wasn't able to get out, and he lost quite a bit of units. One of the problems with Bio is that you want to do damage when you trade evenly. And anytime they do not trade evenly, they lose a lot of units. And it's harder for them to pressure the Mech Terran, who has great positioning, without being able to overpower them. So they need to have a lot of units, or they need to make sure we don't have a lot. And since we're ahead in economy, you know, he can't just be losing units to stuff like this. Get my gas the moment I land, and I'm up to 4 factories now, and I keep my missile turret production up. I do believe I have +2 attack now. I do. I used these Hellions to clear out that Viking that was bothering my barracks. And I put a sensor tower up front so that I could be able to see if he was trying to contain me or surround me. So now he's coming in for the attack, and I decide to siege up these and lift my depots. This forces him to be bottlenecked into splash damage. I need to pull back a little bit here and reposition one of my tanks that's coming out so that I can hit his tanks. I forced the medevac away because of my Vikings, and he scans to keep attacking, but he's now losing a lot of units. The siege tank went down. Killing siege tanks when you're Mech is a great thing. Siege tanks hold positional ground. They force the opponent to advance slower and to contain. A Bio player does want to contain a Mech Terran so they can't mass expand and then obstruct the weaknesses. In this situation, with the amount of tanks he's losing, he's not able to contain or put up a proper contain. He either has to have mass Bio or mix in siege tanks, but if he decides to invest in siege tanks, he cannot be losing them. I store another command center back in my base to fly over here, since this is a lot of dead space. I can put up missile turrets to defend here, and then by defending this spot, I can defend this ramp and this ramp, allowing me to expand easier. I also drop 2 more factories since I am about to expand, and I have these Hellions on the map looking for bases to attack. I'm using the Hellions since they're minerals only. I want to try to snipe workers if I can. That's one of the good things about this heavy command center build, is because we can always keep producing Hellions and we can always keep replacing them, as long as you have the production for them. You want a mostly gas heavy army, since the more gas is invested into your army, the stronger it is. We've established a turret ring at our base, and he does come in for a drop. As you can tell, 2 medevacs without the range for the missile turrets. 2 medevacs are about to die. This medevac has still 4 units to unload, and this medevac still has 4 units to unload. So not only will I be killing units with these missile turrets, so they're paid for, I'm killing gas units, which are medevacs, with these missile turrets, so they've definitely paid for themselves. These medevacs will make it so that there are future less drops, less possibility of a surround, and overall, this is something definitely to my advantage. Once he saw the missile turrets, he should not have dropped here. He also loses these Vikings because of a bad rally, so this fight was completely in my favor. If we look at the units lost tab, he's lost 2,000 more resources than me. At this stage in the game, that is huge. That is actually very detrimental, especially since he has less of an economy than I do. He is about 20 workers behind 17. I also make this one an orbital command since I'm feeling pretty far ahead. And I put up another sensor tower. You can see that I can see everything near my base pretty well. And back at the base, I go up to 4 starports, 3 reactor and 3 tech lab, 1 reactor. I want to be able to produce Raven, Banshee, or Battlecruiser at a decent pace. Normally I get 1 less starport, and normally when I do go for a starport I get 2 reactors. The reason why I don't is because I feel significantly ahead, and I'm confident that I will be able to take this expansion, go up to heavy gas, and that way I can saturate my army faster with more gas units. Let's speed up a little bit as we go through this building phase of Raven, upgrades and range. Pulling into this space, let's go back just a little bit. What we're doing is we're sieging up this position while we head up here. This allows it so that if we are in this situation, you can't go all the way around and come from this huge angle. And these siege tanks also cover this ground, so if he tries to fight through here, half of the ground will be under fire. Once we're up on top, we siege these to further make it more difficult. We want split up siege tanks that contain a lot of ground. Now he's walking into a choke. Being careful, we've effectively, just by walking through specific parts, have forced our surround. Once we have the surround, we unsiege, move a little over, and then push in. While we push in, and as we get closer to his army, we start sieging our tanks. He decides to pick the side that sieged up later, and we drop a point defense drone to slow down the Marauders and the Vikings, and go ahead and push in. He's taken a lot of damage on his bio, and he's forced to engage into siege tanks. He's also losing a lot of these units. He's lost his medevacs, and there's a Hunter-Seeker missile on some of these units. He's now, I believe, effectively about to lose any position he had here. I reinforced my units over to this base, using my siege tanks to keep building this little wall. Once I have this ramp under control, which I almost do, I will be able to effectively shut down a lot of bases. What I do is I further position myself here so he can't come around. His only choice is to go through here, but I already have siege tanks sieged up with +3 attack and 1 armor. Now that I've securely killed this base, I try to shoot down this base as well. On the map, I realize he has to do everything he can to break his contain. If he decides to go for a base race, not only have I already taken out 2 expansions, I am now at his front door. Meaning he not only has to go around my army to get to my bases, but 1, I want multiple bases around the map slowing him down. 2, I have a lot of minerals, and it's not that big of an investment for me to triple expand. 3, he's really low on minerals, and it would be really hard for him to punish it. So these are all reasons as to why I'm triple expanding right now. This is a bit of a wait, so we're just going to speed past here a little bit. Pushing in. We siege when we're close to his tanks. We don't want to go the whole way in. If we want to be able to have a few tanks firing at his tanks. This forces his bio to engage, which means that the tanks we have fired up in the back are able to fire at the bio running in. Now, by doing this, we make it so that if he does stim in and try to attack me, I'm sieging up while he's on the way to running towards me. I'm sieging up faster than if I were to try to gain more distance. So by being a little bit slower in my push, I'm able to take out a lot of units and make sure that he can't punish me for leapfrogging. Now that I've secured this ramp with a few Vikings, Widow Mine, and a few siege tanks, I go ahead and blast this expansion with my siege tanks, forcing the repair. Meaning he isn't mining. He's also not mining from here, and if you look at the bank, he has almost no minerals compared to mine. We also make this expansion, I believe, an orbital, this one a planetary, and this one a planetary. The exposed expansions are planetary ones, the ones that are harder to defend. So he just tried to come up here, but I guess denied. scooting a little fast forward because this game is basically over. We decide that we're gonna go ahead and scan and see what he's waiting for. And we do see that there are battlecruisers on the way, so we just decide to push in and end the game. We have complete ground army, and my units will be able to take out a lot of his base before he can kill them, and we can just remax anyway with the amount of resources we have. So no need to run away from the battlecruisers. It's taken them forever to kill these units since they're early 2, and he's already losing a huge portion of his base. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this.